Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. This is a quick video to address a pressing issue that every Muslim should be concerned about. It concerns the most beloved individual to every true Muslim's heart, the Prophet, peace be upon him. I'm sure that everybody can see the complete chaos that the Islamic scholarship sphere suffers from. There are so many individuals who are completely unqualified, yet are called scholars, sheikhs, alim, allama, and so on. Unfortunately, we live in an era where the standard to become a scholar in the public eyes are so low that so many unlearned individuals are called scholars and followed by tens or hundreds of thousands, if not even more. They are regarded as scholars of Islam while they lack the basics of usul al-istidlal, the foundations, the fundamentals of inference of Sharia. The Muslim world has been suffering from these people for so long now. People whose standards of scholarship is a long beard and a short dress. They read a book or two and present themselves and being presented as alim, great scholar, allama, while there isn't really any substance to their ilm or their alleged knowledge. In other words, they are just like any other lay person who's not specialized in the topic. Their ignorance is so severe that they insult the Prophet, peace be upon him, and offend his high status. One of those so-called scholars recently came up with a statement that undermines the Prophet, peace be upon him. He was asked whether the Prophet's blood is Nadjasa, like filth, and he said yes, and relied upon the ayah, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. Say, O Prophet, I'm just a human being like you. But as we will see later, he truncated the ayah, because the ayah says, complete ayah says, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ, and so on. So I am a human like you, but a human that receives revelation. So I'm not like you in every aspect, as he wishes to understand the ayah. This doesn't just reflect a complete ignorance of how the Sharia evidence should be examined, but more importantly, it demonstrates the ill belief these guys have against the Prophet, peace be upon him. It's like they have an issue with him, a personal vendetta of some sort. At every occasion, they are not shy from undermining the Prophet's status and saying things that are offending to him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us how to exercise discipline with the Prophet, peace be upon him. For example, don't talk loudly in his presence. If he calls you, obey him and go to him, even if you are praying, and so on. I'm personally not sure whether these people are in complete oblivion when it comes to the usul al-tafsir and methodology of tafsir and the other hadiths that shows clearly that the Prophet is pure in every aspect whatsoever. Are they ignorant about those? Or is it the case that they don't see that the Prophet is better than them, or what? It's very weird. Now, let's see why his claim is totally wrong. First of all, he actually truncated the ayah. So he didn't say the complete ayah, he just took a part of it. It's in the same way like saying, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَقْرَبُوا الصَّلَاةِ, which means, all believers, do not come near the salah, do not do salah. But the ayah actually doesn't say that. If you complete the ayah, it says وَأَنْتُمْ سُكَارَى, means while you are drunk. So that was before the alcohol was forbidden. So the ayah, basically the complete ayah, say, "O believers, do not come close to the prayer while you are drunk." So taking out while you are drunk and claiming that the ayah and the Quran says لا تقربوا الصلاة, that's nonsense. And that's exactly what that so-called scholar did. Also, when you read the context of the ayah and see what the Mufassirun said about it, you'll find that the ayah basically says to the mushrikeen, I'm just a human being like you. Not in the aspect that what comes out of me is filthy like you. That is not even close. It's not even remotely meant by the ayah. It just basically says, I'm not divine, I'm not angel. I can only do and say what I've been instructed to do and say. I am only conveying the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He is the one, the only true God. That's what the ayah is about. Nothing in the ayah even remotely infers that the Prophet is saying, I am like you in every aspect. Or to indicate that the Prophet means, or the ayah means, my blood is najas, or filthy like you. Nothing in the ayah that says that. Not even close. The ayah was completely taken out of context. And the connection is so weird and so absurd, so far apart, that I can't imagine, I can't see how anyone in his right mindset can make such a connection. Now let's talk about the part of the ayah that he ignored, that yuha ilay, that I receive revelation. The ayah is saying, إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد. I receive revelation. And revelation comes through angels, correct? You got it right. So angels, as everybody knows, like a 5th graders, even 5th graders, would tell you, angels do not come close to filth. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purified the Prophet to receive the revelation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to receive the revelation and the wahy. He must be pure. So you can see that this guy's knowledge is not better than a 5th grader. Also, there is a tremendous amount of hadith that indicate that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is pure from every aspect you can think of. And specifically, anything that comes out to the Prophet, peace be upon him, is not filthy, is not najas, is not like what comes out of us. It's totally pure. For example, there is a Sahih hadith, many in fact, that the Sahaba would take the Prophet's sweat to enhance their fragrance with it and add it to their fragrance to make it even smells better. Who's like that? No one. Clearly, the Prophet is not just like anyone else. That is nonsense. Not only that, there are other hadith that says that when the Prophet, peace be upon him, would be walking around and with his companions, the Sahaba, and if he spat, the Sahaba would catch that spat before it reaches the ground. That's in Bukhari. Other hadiths talking about how Abdullah ibn Zubayr drank the Prophet's blood. Some would say that this hadith about Abdullah ibn Zubayr drinking the Prophet's blood is a weak hadith. But the fact that a hadith is a weak doesn't mean the opposite is true. This is one of the hadith science principle, and he would have known that had he actually studied or understood hadith science. A weak hadith simply means, in the terminology of muhaddithin, that such hadith has lower standard to be accepted as proof, as evidence by itself. So it doesn't meet the high standard of acceptance as credible to be used for Sharia rulings. But it's still, there is a possibility that the hadith is correct. So with all the other supporting evidence, the Sahih hadith and all the other ayahs and so on and so forth, that elevate the hadith, that weak hadith, and make it at least plausible. But in any event, notwithstanding this weak hadith, the other sahih hadith and ayahs are clear and provide evidence, very credible evidence, without the slightest shadow of a doubt that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is pure. In fact, the purest, and is at the highest imaginable pure state, inside out and from every aspect. Not to forget the several hadith, all sahih, about the Prophet, peace be upon him, when the angels came and opened his chest and purified his heart. That's why all scholars, real scholars from any Muslim group and sects, agree that the Prophet is pure, and agree that what is considered Nadjasa or filth from any human being is considered pure in the Prophet, peace be upon him. Now the question that I cannot answer, I don't know the answer to, maybe you can answer it, is why do these people systematically, at every occasion possible, attempt to cast doubts about the Prophet's high status and uniqueness? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "You are not a true believer unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet, peace be upon him, are more beloved to you than everybody else, including yourself." These people don't understand that, and clearly they don't feel it, and that is something that is required from you to be a true believer and reach that high status of being a mu'min. They cannot teach that to you. They can't teach it to you because they don't have it. Well, the last thing I want to say is something that our scholars, our true scholars and shuyukh taught us. They used to tell us that the Prophet, peace be upon him, is like a jewel, is like a ruby, a diamond, among other stones, among other charcoal. So you and I, everybody else is a charcoal. The Prophet is a diamond. If you put a diamond in the jar full of water, it will make it even more beautiful. But if you put charcoal in the water, what are you going to get? There's a difference between us and the Prophet.